G'day there guys, Marky here, and welcome back to another episode of r/relationship advice. I do hope you enjoyed today's episode, and with that said, I want you to sit back, relax, chuck a prawn to the barbie, and let's get right into it. Posted by user Relative Young 9037, titled, "My parents invited their friends on a family vacation, and now I don't want to go." For context, my parents are swingers. I found out about them being swingers right after I graduated high school in 2016. I never really had an opinion on the matter until recently. I don't care what they do behind closed doors, but I personally don't want to see it in person. I'm sure that makes me sound like a bad person, but I've always accepted them for who they are. It's honestly just really weird to see my parents make out with other people when they're around a group of people. Anyway, they're in a relationship with another couple and have been with them for almost 2 years. They, being the other couple, just recently moved in with my parents because they lost their house and couldn't find another place in time. My parents kicked my sister, her fiancé, and their baby out of the basement in order to give their friends the space and put my sister, her fiancé, and baby upstairs in one bedroom to share, which is a small 12 by 12 room. The friends have also stated that they are another set of grandparents for my niece and call themselves Grandma, insert name, and Papa, insert name. My sister and her fiancé are not comfortable with this, but my parents and their friends don't seem to care because they're all together as one. Now, onto the vacation. We were supposed to go on our first ever family vacation last year, October 2021. But it ended up being pushed back to April of this year due to costs because of my wedding, which everyone was fine with. It then got pushed back again because my sister was in her 3rd trimester of her pregnancy and couldn't fly. It is now scheduled for February of 2023. My parents told my sister and I, along with our significant others, that they would be bringing their friends along on the vacation. And I'm frustrated about it, to be honest. With the way that they've been handling things with my sister, and with all of their PDA, it made me not want to go anymore. It's our first ever family vacation, like I've already mentioned, and I wanted it to be just family. I'm at a loss, and I'm not sure how to handle the situation. And we don't want to upset my parents about how I, and everyone else, my husband, sister, and brother-in-law, feel. Any advice? Edits. I'm married and do not live at home anymore, although my sister, her fiancé, and baby do. They're currently looking for places. We live in a state where the cost of living is super high, like a lot of places right now, and with them only having one income, it's harder for them to find something. Hopefully that clears things up. Edit number 2, I didn't expect this to get as much attention as it did, and I've read each comment and taken advice, so thank you. I'm fully aware that my parents are adults and can do what they want. I never once said that they couldn't, and I never said I wasn't against their relationship with this other couple. They refer to themselves as swingers, but yes, you could say they're in a polyamorous relationship. The issue I have is how they shove it down everyone's throats. I don't care what they do in private, behind closed doors, but once I see the PDA and the other things they do with each other when other people are around, that's when I get uncomfortable around the situation. They have a calendar on the fridge that says what nights they will swap beds and sleep with the other person. For example, my mum and the other woman move between my dad and the other guy. There are also times when they make sexual jokes about screwing each other or randomly flashing each other when we are around. Like, at least wait until people aren't there to do those things. That's the part that I'm not okay with. In the comments, Dexter Styles says, "Your parents sound incredibly demanding and childish. I wouldn't go at all, point blank. Tell 'em. Your parents strike me as the type of people who do shitty things, don't care about how anyone else feels, and cover it all by saying nonsense like, 'I'm just living my best life.' This is so bizarre by so many degrees." OP replies, "It is so bizarre. I truly love my parents and I know that it would hurt them if I tell them I'm not going, but it makes me so uncomfortable on so many levels to see them doing these things with another person. I think I'm just going to talk to them, and if they decide they're still taking them, I'll tell them that I'm not going. Thank you for your comment." OP, honestly, from what you've said in the original post, the bit you seem the most uncomfortable with is their priorities. They've prioritized sexual partners over their own kids. It's the equivalent of having something akin to step-parents, if you break it down. They have inserted themselves into your lives, annexed spaces from the children, and then pretend like everything's good, whilst downright ignoring any external feedback to the contrary. The fact that they view themselves as grandparents to your sister's child is disturbing, and it lacks any personal boundary. Your parents and this couple are divorced from reality to the point that they prioritized a couple who needed space over their daughter, her partner, and a child. That's effed up, and you have every right to not be comfortable with the situation. If I was you, I would not only not go to this gathering, but make your feelings and thoughts known to them that their behavior is not okay. Who they choose to have as sexual partners is one thing, but who gets to be in the family is something entirely different and requires everyone's involvement, not just theirs. OP replies, "Thank you for validating my feelings on the subject. I'm going to talk to my parents this weekend and let them know how I've been feeling." Don't go. I bet your sister doesn't want to go anymore either. Tell your parents they can take either their kids or their bang buddies on vacation, but not both. Your siblings can arrange for your own drama-free family vacation, minus the olds. If I were you, I'd invite them out somewhere for coffee or lunch or whatever without their friends. Explain that I appreciate that they see me as enough of an adult that they were able to be honest about their relationship with the other couple, but that being said, I'd hope that they can understand, though, how nobody wants to have their parents' sexual relationships on display in front of them. I'd tell them that I'm uncomfortable with this new couple and do not view them as family, regardless of the relationship they currently have with them. The upcoming trip was to be a family vacation, and in light of all that is going on, it is no longer something that would be a fun trip with my family, and I will no longer be joining them. Let them be upset. They've decided who they want to spend time with. Update. Hi everyone. A few weeks ago, I made a post about my parents inviting their friends on a family vacation and said I'd give an update after I'd talked to my parents. Well, I did, and it didn't go well. Also, sorry the update took so long. I've been struggling with the outcome really badly, and I needed time to write it all out. So, on to the update. I brought up all of my feelings to my parents, and they weren't very happy. They asked why I never brought it up, and I told them that it was because I was fine with everything until I started seeing it, and that's when it made me uncomfortable. Now they think I don't accept them for who they are, and they don't really see an issue with inviting their friends or doing other things with their friends in front of everyone else. My mum basically said that what they do is none of my business or anyone else's, and they can do what they want, which is true. They're adults and can do what they want, but some of the things they do should be in private settings and not for others to see. They also consider their girlfriend and boyfriend to be family, again, which is fine. I know many people do, and since it's a family vacation, they're still inviting them, regardless of how everyone feels about it. I just want to be with my parents for once without their friends being there, and having them all be all over each other. They also see no issue with their friends calling themselves grandparents to my niece. I got upset and told them my husband and I would not be attending the vacation and they could take someone else, and until they understand where I'm coming from, I would not be going around. So for the time being, my parents are being cut off. I'm very sad about the outcome, and it makes me sad that they would choose their friends over their own child, but to each their own, I guess. Thank you for all the comments. I read every single one of them. Even if I didn't comment back, I still read them. There were some very nice supporting ones that really helped, and also some not very nice ones that also helped. So thank you all. In the comments, BananaPants22 says, "I'm sorry about that. Did your siblings ever back you up?" And OP says, "Yes, my sister agrees with me. I'm not sure if she's planning on going or not, so if she doesn't, we might go on our own little vacation." They flash each other with other people around? Yeah, her parents are messed up. Yeah, that's just effing gross. Flashing your junk to your sexual partners in front of your kids. I don't care if the kids are adults. That's just... no. Not just gross, it's sexual harassment or assault, and it depends on where you live. Flashing someone without their consent is a sexual crime, and they're doing that to their children. You hate that we're poly and happy. No, It's literally the everything else, like putting your daughter, future son-in-law, and grandchild in a 12 by 12 room instead of your homosexual boyfriend and girlfriend. It's not anyone's business. Makes out in front of the whole family? No, it's normal. It's just really normal family dynamic, this one. Hey, OP's parents, if you think that's a real nice and normal time, I have a couch to sell you. Our next post is by user Spee8, titled, I, 28 male, am starting to fall for my wife, 24 female, and I'm unsure how to proceed. This is all a very complicated and sad situation. About 4 years ago, my wife and partner of 8 years passed away due to complications after the birth, very rare, of our second son. I was deployed at the time and completely devastated. After flying home, I felt like nothing would make me happy again. My sons are great, now 6 and 4, but overwhelming. So I asked a sister of one of my Marine buddies, Cass, to help out. She had been friends with my wife, but not great friends, and she agreed in exchange for a place to stay. At the time, Cass was only 20 years old and in quite a bit of debt in fault of her extremely abusive ex-boyfriend, who she finally left about 3 months earlier. During the first few weeks of her helping out with the boys, she asked to borrow money to see a doctor due to shaking hands. No insurance. I happily obliged. She was an angel, doing all the cooking and cleaning and keeping my young family together. It turned out that she had developed some sort of neurological disorder, probably brought on by repeated abuse. At the time, it seemed simple. I had good insurance, she needed healthcare, I never thought that I'd be able to move on from my wife, and she was afraid of intimacy. I agreed that I would marry her, but keep our platonic relationship. She promised not to burden me with her debt, and we had a prenuptial agreement and all. I know that this is fraud of the government, hence the throwaway, but we were both so damaged and needed somebody, if not intimately. The past 3 years have been about as good as expected, if not better. Cass is great, better than great. She keeps the house spotless, has food ready every night when I get home, and has been working overnights as a baker, and almost has her debt paid off. Her condition has improved greatly, also, due to the great medical care that she was able to receive. With the boys, she's a saint. She tells them about their mother, shows them pictures, takes them places for fun, and even taught them how to read. Of course, the 6-year-old just finished kindergarten, but my 4-year-old is going to be the smartest kid in his class next year. Sometimes the 4-year-old calls her Mummy, but she shushes him and reminds him that her name is Cass, and that Mummy is the angel whose picture is above the fireplace. Once her debt is fully paid off, the kids are in school, and she saves up a bit of money, she's going to go into a nursing program. Our relationship. Still platonic, but very caring. I've cried on her shoulders more times than I can count, and she's done the same. One night, I was very stressed out and yelled at her about something pretty inconsequential. She had taken my sons to see Santa without me. Aww. She, of course, became quite frightened, but we worked it out, and I even offered to pay for her to see a counselor, but she didn't. That was 2 years ago, and we've had little fights ever since, but have been able to work through them. She seems to understand me whenever I'm hurt, upset, or angry, and is calming in a way that I can't explain. The problem, Reddit, is that I think I might be falling for her. I've been noticing little things. Her scent, her smile, her laugh, the way she smiles with her eyes when she sees me, how much my boys love her, not to mention that she's gorgeous, hardworking, and one of the strongest people I've ever encountered. A few nights ago, I almost kissed her after we put the boys to bed, and her hugs goodbye have started lasting a little bit longer. The other day, she was taking a nap in my bed, she was washing her sheets, and I wanted to join her. Not have sex with her, just lay with her, and hold and kiss her. I don't know what to do, or how to even bring this up. It's been 4 years since my wife died. I can only think of a quote from the Song of Ice and Fire books, in which a character says that, when the sun has set, no candle can replace it, meaning that since his true love has died, nobody could replace him. That's how I used to feel, but there's been days where my thoughts have been occupied with Cass, and I haven't even thought about my wife. I feel bad about it, and I still miss her, but I never thought that I'd be able to move on. I feel guilty and disloyal. At the same time, I want her. Not just sexually or physically, I want to be romantically intimate with her, not just as friends. I don't know how to bring it up. I don't want to scare her or make her uncomfortable, but this is becoming more difficult than I could have ever imagined. I was thinking about asking her to get dinner, just the two of us, and then bringing it up. But what if she refuses? How can I gauge her interest? If it means anything, the other day she was having a hard time with the boys. They were restless and being out of hand, so I brought her home some of her favorite flowers. She was extremely giddy and gave me another lasting hug and a quick kiss on the lips. I was taken aback, but she pranced around, finishing dinner and putting flowers in the vase. What does this mean? Edit. Screw it. It's been an hour on here, and you've all convinced me to tell her. I've called her favorite fancy restaurant and made a reservation. Her brother agreed to babysit and let her and me stay at his place tonight if she isn't into it or feels uncomfortable. She paid off her debt this morning. Apparently, just texted me a picture of the check. And next week is our 3-year anniversary, so that's the prelude. I'm going to tell her at dessert. I'm nervous as shit. Don't worry, I'll update y'all, because so many have demanded it so. Update. Everything went amazing. Just got home. Love Reddit. We'll update tomorrow. Time to go make out with my wife. Update 2. Last night was hectic as shit at first. Our younger son had eaten what he calls a giant fuzzy spider, and Cass wanted to take him to the hospital, even though he was fine. Her brother, we'll call him Joe, told her that he would take care of it and basically forced her out of the house to celebrate getting out of debt. She didn't really seem like she wanted to go at all. I became effing nervous. So we got to the restaurant pretty early, but luckily they had a table. She ordered wine, which was odd because she hasn't drunk much since she broke up with her ex, but I figured that it was a time to celebrate. We made small talk for a while, but it seemed forced. I knew that I had to tell her soon. So, before the entrees even came, I said that I had something to talk to her about. She didn't smile and told me that she knew. Joe told her. And my goddamn heart almost stopped. That mother... Kidding? I hurriedly told her that I was so sorry. I didn't want her to find out that way. I wanted to tell her myself. She shook her head, frowned, and said that it was okay. She just wanted me to be happy and that I deserved it. I told her that I didn't want to stress her out or to make her uncomfortable, but I just needed to tell her and see how she felt, and that it was completely up to her. She gave me a look and said that it was actually up to me, and just to do what made me happy. She said that she was probably going to move out after her program ended and promised to stay out of the way until then. It was then that I realized that something was a bit off, and I asked her what the hell had Joe told her. She said that he'd told her that I wanted to take her out to dinner to tell her that I'd started developing feelings for a girl, and wanted to ask Cass if it would be okay if I asked the girl out. It was then I realized Joe had set me up for the most climactic pickup line ever to exist. Our entrees came. I had shrimp and pesto gnocchi, and she had crab legs for you detail lovers. And I explained that yes, I had started developing feelings for a girl. I just didn't want it to mess up what we had. And she said that it wouldn't mess anything up. She still loved the boys and would take care of them in the house. I continued to then explain that I wasn't going to ask the girl on a date though, and she asked incredulously, why not? Then I dropped my smoothest line I've ever dropped, because I'm already on a date with her. Right? Thanks, Joe, because he must know about your planned movie and really wanted that line. She gave me this look that she gives my sons when they tell her things like, I'm going to the mall by myself, or I have a girlfriend named Tammy. And then she looked away, smiled and shook her head and asked, "Really?" I nodded and told her that I cared about her more than anybody else alive, other than my sons, of course, that I loved our family, and that I had fallen in love with her. She then took a drink of wine, rolled her eyes, and said, "About effing time, Alex." And I'll never forget what happened next. Maybe it was a faux pas, but I leaned across the table and kissed her, spilled her wine. But neither of us cared, and we kissed for about a minute before she told me to get off her before her crab legs got cold. This was joking, but not. You'd have to know her. After leaving the restaurant, we got ice cream and sat around and kissed some more before heading home. Joe was sitting on our couch watching one of those VH1 dating shows with a shit-eating grin on his face, and Cass ran in, screaming at him that he ruined everything and that she was going to have to move in with Mum now. We let him believe it for about 5 seconds before bursting into laughter. He shook my hand and told me that the boys were sleeping and then left. I picked Cass up and kissed her and carried her to my room where we made out for like 2 hours and snuggled the shit out of each other. She isn't ready for anything else, but emphasized yet. I'll give her all the time in the world. At one point, the youngest son came in because of a nightmare and brought his dog, a golden retriever puppy, and claimed that the doggy was scared. So we, of course, let him in. I woke up early to make everyone breakfast and, of course, deliver, and I'm about to go and kiss my wife goodbye and ask my boss for the second part of the day off so that I can spend more time with her while the boys are at school. Preschool. I'm really sorry that I haven't replied to everything. I was a little busy, but thank you all for the support. Update 3. But I'm still unsure of how to provide proof. I've lost the receipt for the restaurant and didn't pay with a card, and won't post pictures for obvious reasons, such as years of defrauding the government. But I will deliver and find a way. I promise, as a man of my word. Haven't I always delivered so far? And to those of you who are talking about a second wedding ceremony, we just kissed for the first time 2 nights ago. Overly attached, huh, Reddit? Finally, thank you to whoever gave me gold. I spent about $25 last night buying Joe beers, but next time, please use that money for real good. Take a vet to lunch, learn CPR. I don't know, but again, many thanks to you. I promise I'll update again in the future, but don't be angry if it isn't very often. I've been a little busier than normal. Cheers. Update 4. TLDR of the My Life. My wife died 4 years ago when I was deployed, and I, Alex, 28 male, ended up marrying the girl, Cass, 24 female, who was taking care of my children and keeping up with my house while I was grieving. I did this because she was having medical issues stemming from past domestic abuse and had no insurance. Apparently I can't post this as an update because of some rule. It's fine. I'd advise anybody to look through my past submissions. I don't think I can post them on here, if you're interested in what happened about a month ago, but apparently this is a different issue. Things are going very well, except I started developing feelings for her. I was afraid of scaring her or making her feel unsafe, but Reddit convinced me to take the plunge. Now I'm happily dating my wife. Hey everybody, I hope your workday is going well. My day has been crazy. Everything has been going wonderfully lately though. It was somewhat strange at first explaining it to our friends and family, but most of them had already caught on, including my sons, who act as if nothing has changed. I'm pretty sure those little effers knew the entire time. Anyways, last night I came home and Cass was out of it. Dinner was burnt, which is no big deal. I can't really cook well or anything, but it's out of character, and she was drinking. Lightly. Only 1 or 2 glasses of wine. I asked her what was wrong. Obviously I was concerned, and she told me that her ex-boyfriend, shithead, 30 male, got parole last week. I was flabbergasted, since she should have been able to testify at his parole hearing, I believe. Apparently the crime that he was incarcerated for was unrelated to the abuse, which I had always assumed was the reason, but Cass had been 1, assured it would put him away for a decade at least, and 2, had been far too afraid to testify against him or press charges. Apparently he'd been arrested for this felony, and when he was being held, he asked her to post bail. but instead, she asked my first wife for help moving out and moving on. I don't know what to do. I don't think that we have any legal ways to put him back in prison. She knows that she should have gone to the police and is guilt-ridden and upset about it now. I know that she's going to be safe, because if he tries to even contact her, I'll take a legal recourse of action to make sure that he doesn't so much as touch her. I've taken off work today, but promised that even when I go back, I'll have my buddies stopping by throughout the day. But I don't know how to make her feel safe. I've contacted my lawyer about filing a restraining order, and he said that it shouldn't be too hard. But she's a mess. I just don't know how to make her believe that she's okay. I doubt this piece of shit will come around, but I know what I'm going to do if he tries. Update 5. Hey Reddit, I first of all would like to apologize for not keeping you guys updated. I've honestly just been pretty occupied with life lately, and last night I had trouble sleeping. I was just browsing the internet when an article came up about Reddit, and I thought, I wonder how those nice people are doing. Then I signed in and realized that a lot of you really cared about how my life is going with Cass. The answer is, pretty well now. Things got tough for a while when her ex was released from prison last year though. She was so afraid that he would contact her, until he did. I remember that night like it was 5 minutes ago. Somebody rang our doorbell and the oldest son answered. He asked for Cass. She told the boys to go upstairs and gave me a look, and I knew. But she didn't look scared. The bastard apologized and begged for forgiveness and asked for a second chance. She was so brave. I wanted to kill him, but she told him no and asked him to leave. He did, and he tried to contact her a few more times before we got an order of protection against him. Last I heard, he moved upstate to live with his dad or something. Around this time, her brother Joe also got into a really bad car accident and ended up having to move in with us for a while. He's a great guy and one of my best friends, so we didn't mind, but it was a stressful time. About 7 or 8 months ago, we finally consummated our marriage, I guess you can say. The boys are doing great and are really happy. Cass got a pretty good job, although I think she's working too much overtime and loves it. We're expecting our first child in February and couldn't be more excited. You could say that life is pretty good. I'll be around for another few hours if you guys have any questions. Final update. Technically, she was born early March, but I didn't want to make the title "It Was a Girl." Sorry for not updating. It was a pretty rough pregnancy, and Cass has put her foot down about wanting more. I guess 3 is enough, but everything turned out great. Little Therese was 21 inches and 9 pounds at birth, and as bold as I am. She's way easier than the boys were. She hardly ever cries and is the most photogenic baby ever. Our youngest son is completely smitten and always tries to help. It's less cute than you think. Joe is also doing okay. His back is still bothering him, but he's dating a girl who actually went to my high school, 2 years younger than me though. He is pretty happy with her, and we're all very happy for him. Other than the new fatherhood, not much to update. I'm home watching the baby today while Cass is out, so I should be around for a while. And that's where I'm going to end today's episode, guys. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, let me know what you thought about it in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.